Ladies and gentlemen, friends and dreamers, 2025 is here, and with it, a brand new canvas for you to paint your journey, your dreams, and your victories. It is the year to realize that the power to shape your destiny lies within you. You are not defined by what has happened in the past, nor are you bound by any limitation others may have placed on you. 2025 is the year to shake off the weight of self-doubt, the fears that have held you back, and the boundaries that society has drawn around you. It is time to rise, not because the world demands it, but because you are ready to become the person you were always meant to be. You see, life does not hand us guarantees. It does not promise us smooth roads or easy paths, but it does give us an incredible gift, the gift of choice. The choice to stand up after every fall, to breathe deeply when the world feels too heavy, to laugh when others expect tears. This year, choose to take that step, even when it feels uncertain. Choose to believe in yourself, even when the whole world seems to doubt you. Your strength, your courage, your willpower, these are not defined by your circumstances. They are shaped by your choices, by the decisions you make when no one is watching. 2025 is not just another year on the calendar. It is the time when you will look at yourself in the mirror and realize that you have always been enough. All the power you need to change your life is already within you. Dream big, dream unapologetically, because you have the ability to turn dreams into reality. Don't wait for permission. Don't look for approval. The world is waiting for you to show up as your authentic self, to share your unique gifts, and to make the impact only you can make. Challenges will come, but so will strength. Doubt will visit you, but so will faith. And through it all, remember this: 2025 is your year. It's your year to push beyond your comfort zone, to rise when you fall, to stretch beyond the limits you thought existed. And when you do, you look back at this moment and realize that it wasn't the world that changed you. It was you who decided to change the world. So what will you do with this year? Will you stand still or will you move forward? Will you shrink or will you soar? 2025 is not a waiting game. It is your year to own your story. Let this be the year you unlock your full potential. Let this be the year you decide, I am worthy, I am capable, I am unstoppable. This is your year. Take it, own it. Let it be the one that defines you. We often find ourselves caught in a constant cycle of defining who we are based on what we've done, where we've been, and sometimes even where we've failed. Society in many ways creates benchmarks for success and failure, and for many of us, these markers often become the lines by which we measure our own worth. But what if I told you that you are not defined by what has happened in the past? What if I told you that your limits are not bound by the walls you've hit before, but are instead shaped by the strength you have to break through them? What if the only thing standing between you and your fullest potential is the belief that you are capable of something more? We spend so much of our lives letting others determine what we can achieve. We allow labels to be placed upon us, whether they are given by society, our family, or even ourselves. Not good enough, too old, too young, not skilled enough, not educated enough. These labels are insidious, creeping into the corners of our minds and dictating our choices. But here's the thing. None of these labels are the truth of who you are. You see, society likes to create categories. It likes to create this idea of what success looks like, and then it fits people into those molds. But these molds are arbitrary. What one person defines as success might be something completely different for another person. What is seen as failure by one person could be seen as a learning experience by someone else. Yet, how often do we limit ourselves to the molds that society places before us? How often do we look at others' achievements and think, I could never do that? Or, perhaps worse, we look at our past failures and decide that because we failed once, we will always fail. That's the trap. The truth is that we are not the sum of our past mistakes or missed opportunities. We are not the reflection of the times we didn't hit our target or the times we faltered along the way. We are a reflection of our capacity to rise again. We are a reflection of our choices in the face of adversity. Every time we choose to stand up, every time we choose to push forward, even when we feel like we have nothing left to give, we redefine what's possible. We can decide at any moment that our past no longer has control over who we are or what we can become. The number of times you've stumbled doesn't dictate how many times you can rise. Every time you fall, you are given a chance to get back up with even more strength, more clarity, and more wisdom than before. So the next time you think about your failures, ask yourself, what did you learn? How did you grow? Because growth isn't linear. It doesn't always look like a steady upward climb. Sometimes growth is messy. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But every single step, even the backward ones, has value. When you realize that you are not limited by what has happened to you, something incredible happens. You start seeing yourself differently. You begin to view every obstacle not as a permanent block in your path, but as a temporary challenge that you are capable of overcoming. The moment you realize that your limits are only temporary and that you can redefine what's possible for yourself, you unlock a version of yourself that you never thought existed. This is when you begin to tap into your true power. So how do we break free from the confines of self-imposed limits? The first step is to become aware of them. Pay attention to the thoughts that enter your mind when you face a challenge. Are you thinking, this is too hard, I can't do this? Or are you thinking, this is going to be tough, but I've handled tough situations before, I can handle this too? The way we speak to ourselves in moments of difficulty can either propel us forward or hold us back. Self-talk is powerful. The language we use to describe our challenges, ourselves, and our potential can either reinforce the limits we've been taught to believe or help us break through them. Another key to breaking free from self-imposed limits is to recognize that our circumstances do not define us. We are not our environment, our upbringing, or our current situation. These things may influence us, but they do not have to define who we are or where we are going. Many times, we find ourselves trapped in the belief that where we are right now is where we will always be. We tell ourselves that our background, our lack of resources, or the challenges we face will hold us back. But the truth is, the moment you decide to take control of your story, your circumstances become irrelevant. They are simply the backdrop for the bigger picture you are painting. Think of the people who have achieved greatness in all walks of life: artists, scientists, entrepreneurs, leaders. And notice one thing they all have in common. They faced extraordinary challenges. They were told no, they were knocked down, they were told that they couldn't possibly succeed. But they chose not to believe in the limits others placed upon them. They chose to write their own story, to set their own course, and to create a reality that reflected their deepest desires and aspirations. The key here is that these individuals didn't allow the setbacks or doubts to define their future. They rewrote their story from a place of self-belief. They realized that their past didn't have to dictate their future. And this is something you can do too. You can choose at any moment to see your past as a stepping stone and not a chain that holds you back. You can choose to walk away from the things that have defined you up until now and take charge of the narrative that moves you forward. When we let go of the idea that we are limited by what has happened, we also open ourselves up to new possibilities. We open ourselves up to new opportunities. We begin to view the world differently. Instead of seeing obstacles as walls, we begin to see them as gateways to new beginnings. Instead of seeing failure as the end of the road, we begin to see it as a lesson that leads us to something greater. The more we embrace this mindset, the more empowered we feel, and the more capable we become of achieving things we once thought impossible. Another important element to breaking free from self-imposed limits is to surround ourselves with people who encourage and challenge us to rise above our own boundaries. This doesn't mean we need to surround ourselves with people who simply tell us what we want to hear. True support comes from those who believe in our potential even when we don't. These are the people who remind us of our strength when we've forgotten it. They see the possibility in us when we're clouded by doubt. They inspire us to break free from the chains of limitation and strive for something more. As you move forward in your journey, it's essential to remember that breaking free from limits is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. You may find yourself falling back into old patterns of thinking. You may find yourself doubting your ability to achieve something great, but that's okay. The journey toward freedom from self-imposed limits is not a straight path. It's a winding road, full of ups and downs, of moments of clarity and moments of confusion. The most important thing is to keep moving forward. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory. Every time you push beyond the boundaries you once set for yourself, you are rewriting the story of your life. The next time you feel like you can't do something, take a moment to reflect. Remind yourself that your past doesn't have the final say. Remind yourself that you are not limited by anything except the limits you allow yourself to believe. In the end, the only true limit is the one you place on yourself. So let go of those boundaries. Release the limitations. And let 2025 be the year you break free. Every single moment of our lives presents us with an opportunity to choose. We often think of life as something that just happens to us. Events unfold, situations arise, and we simply react to them. But the truth is, we are not helpless passengers in our own story. We have the ability to shape the narrative, to direct the course of our journey, and to choose how we respond to whatever comes our way. The power of choice lies in our hands, and it is the choices we make that ultimately determine the direction of our lives. It's easy to feel as though we don't have control over our circumstances. Life can sometimes feel overwhelming, with things beyond our control dictating our path. External factors, family obligations, work pressures, financial struggles, societal expectations often seem to define the limits of what we can do. But when we realize that we always have the power to choose how we respond to those external circumstances, we unlock the freedom to live life on our own terms. While we may not be able to control everything that happens to us, we can always control how we face it, how we interpret it, and how we move forward. The first aspect of the power of choice is the realization that we are the architects of our own future. Many people live their lives on autopilot, simply reacting to the events around them, instead of actively shaping their own destiny. They may feel like they are constantly being swept along by the current of life, with no way to steer the ship. But the reality is, we have the power to steer our own ship, to choose the direction we want to go, even in the midst of turbulence. The choices we make today, no matter how small, lay the foundation for the future we are building. Every decision we make, every action we take, has an impact on the direction we move toward. This doesn't mean that we always have to have everything figured out. Life is full of uncertainty, and there will always be moments where we don't know the exact outcome of our choices. But the beauty of choice lies in the fact that we are not bound by any one decision. If something doesn't work out, we can choose to pivot, adjust, or try again. We are not stuck in the consequences of a single moment. Instead, we are constantly given the chance to make new choices, to redefine our path, and to create the life we want. The power of choice doesn't always come easily. Often we are faced with difficult decisions where both options seem daunting or uncertain. In these moments, we might feel paralyzed by fear, unable to choose at all. But it's in these moments that our ability to choose is most important. Choosing to take action, even in the face of uncertainty, is often the key to moving forward. It's easy to remain in a state of indecision, but indecision itself is a choice that can hold us back. Sometimes the best decision is simply to move forward even if we don't have all the answers. It's about trusting ourselves to navigate whatever comes our way, knowing that we can handle the challenges that arise. The power of choice is also about choosing our mindset. We may not always be able to control what happens around us, but we can always choose how we think about it. Our thoughts shape our reality, and the way we perceive the events in our lives will directly affect how we feel and how we respond to them. For example, if we face a setback, we can choose to see it as a failure or as a lesson. We can choose to feel defeated, or we can choose to see it as an opportunity to grow and improve. The power of choice lies in our ability to choose a mindset that serves us, that empowers us, and that propels us forward. We have the power to choose our relationships. The people we surround ourselves with play a significant role in our lives, shaping our beliefs, our values, and our outlook on the world. We get to choose who we allow into our lives, and we get to decide who supports us, who challenges us, and who lifts us up. It's essential to recognize that not every relationship is healthy or conducive to our growth. We may find ourselves surrounded by people who drain us, who undermine our confidence, or who don't encourage us to reach for our dreams. In these cases, we have the choice to set boundaries, to distance ourselves, or to seek relationships that align with our values and support our growth. Another vital aspect of the power of choice is the ability to choose our response to failure. We all experience setbacks, disappointments, and failures along the way. When things don't go as planned, it can be easy to feel discouraged, to lose motivation, or to give up. But the truth is, failure is not the end, it's simply a part of the process. We have the power to choose how we respond to failure. We can choose to let it define us, or we can choose to see it as a stepping stone, an opportunity to learn, adapt, and move forward. Choosing to embrace failure as a natural and valuable part of the journey is one of the most empowering decisions we can make. The power of choice also extends to our actions. We often think that our actions are a result of external circumstances, but the truth is, we are always in control of what we choose to do. No matter how difficult a situation may seem, we have the ability to decide how we want to act. Do we choose to take responsibility and ownership of our actions? Do we choose to put in the effort, the work, and the time required to move closer to our goals? Every action we take, no matter how small, is a choice that moves us closer to where we want to be. By making intentional, purposeful choices, we can create momentum that propels us forward toward our dreams and aspirations. The power of choice is what allows us to live authentically, to pursue our passions, and to create a life that reflects our values and desires. It's easy to let life happen to us, to fall into patterns of reacting to the world around us. But when we step into the awareness that we have the power to choose, we take back control of our lives. We realize that we are not victims of circumstance, but active participants in creating our future. With every choice we make, we shape the life we are living. And as we continue to choose with intention, we move closer to the life we've always dreamed of. There is an inherent power in the present moment, and too often we overlook its significance while we're caught up in the whirlwind of past regrets or future anxieties. We spend so much of our lives looking backward, thinking about mistakes we've made, things we wish we had done differently, or replaying conversations in our minds over and over. On the other hand, we also spend a great deal of time projecting ourselves into the future, imagining what might go wrong, worrying about outcomes that haven't even happened yet. The truth is, both of these mindsets pull us away from the present, from the only time we truly have. In reality, the only moment we ever truly possess is the one we are in right now. Living in the present requires a shift in perspective. It's easy to get distracted by the noise of the world, the constant influx of information, the distractions of social media, the never-ending list of things to do. But when we learn to be present, we create a space in which we can truly experience life as it is. The present moment is where true living happens, where connection occurs, where we can fully engage with the people and experiences around us. When we learn to live in the present, we begin to appreciate the beauty of life in its simplest form. One of the challenges of living in the present is letting go of the past. It's natural to carry the weight of our experiences, especially if we've encountered pain, disappointment, or loss. But holding on to the past too tightly can prevent us from moving forward. The past, no matter how much we may wish to change it, is gone. It's a collection of memories that no longer have the power to define our present reality, unless we let them. When we live in the past, we remain stuck, replaying old stories and emotions that keep us anchored in a time that no longer exists. But when we shift our focus to the present, we free ourselves from the weight of old wounds. The present offers us the chance to rewrite our story, to create new experiences that are no longer defined by what has already occurred. Living in the present also means embracing the uncertainty of the future. It's easy to get overwhelmed by what's to come, by the fear of the unknown or the pressure to achieve certain goals or milestones. The future is full of possibilities, but it's also full of unpredictability. We can't always control what happens in the future, and we certainly can't predict it with any certainty. But when we focus too much on the future, we lose sight of the opportunities that are available to us in the present. The future is built on the choices we make right now. When we give too much power to the unknown, we miss out on the power we have in the present to create the future we desire. One of the key aspects of living in the present is the ability to fully engage with the moment. Too often we go through the motions of daily life without truly experiencing what's happening around us. We may be physically present, but mentally we are somewhere else. We might be having a conversation with someone, but be distracted by our phones or thinking about what we have to do next. The beauty of living in the present is that we become completely immersed in the experience. We engage with the people in our lives, with the environment around us, and with the tasks we're doing. Whether we're having a conversation, eating a meal, or simply walking down the street. Being fully present allows us to savor the moment and experience life in its richness. Living in the present also requires a degree of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of bringing our attention to the here and now without judgment. It's about acknowledging our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without being carried away by them. When we are mindful, we don't get lost in the past or future. Instead, we focus on what is happening right now in this moment, and we accept it as it is. Mindfulness helps us become aware of the small things, the sounds, smells, sights, and sensations that we often overlook. By practicing mindfulness, we can reconnect with the present moment and cultivate a sense of peace and contentment that is independent of external circumstances. Another important aspect of living in the present is practicing gratitude. When we are present, we can appreciate the blessings that are already in our lives. Often we take the present moment for granted, wishing for things to be different or better. But the reality is we have so much to be grateful for, even in the simplest moments. Gratitude brings us back to the present, reminding us of all the things that are going right in our lives. It helps us shift our focus from what we lack to what we have, from what we wish for to what we are experiencing right now. When we cultivate a sense of gratitude, we become more attuned to the abundance in our lives, and we can experience greater joy in the present. Living in the present also requires accepting the flow of life. Life is always changing, and things don't always go according to plan. We can't always control what happens, and that can be unsettling at times. But when we learn to accept the flow of life, we allow ourselves to experience life as it comes. Instead of resisting the changes or difficulties that arise, we can embrace them as part of the journey. When we let go of the need to control everything, we find a sense of freedom in the present. Life becomes less about trying to force outcomes and more about enjoying the process of living. In our pursuit of happiness, we often think that we'll find it in the future, when certain conditions are met or when we achieve specific goals. But in truth, happiness is something that can only be experienced in the present. It's not something we find at the end of a long road. It's something that is available to us right now, if we are open to it. When we focus on the present, we open ourselves up to the possibility of happiness in the here and now. We are possible. We don't have to wait for the perfect moment or the ideal circumstances to experience joy. We can find it in the small, everyday moments of life. Resilience is one of the most powerful qualities we can cultivate within ourselves. Life is full of challenges, some big, some small, but every obstacle presents an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. The question is not whether you will face hardships, but how you will respond when they come. Resilience is about how we pick ourselves up after falling, how we continue when we feel like giving up, and how we press on even when the road ahead seems uncertain. There's a misconception that resilient people are just born that way, that they are naturally strong or immune to life's difficulties. The truth is, resilience is not something we are born with, but something we develop over time. It is a skill, a muscle that we strengthen through our experiences, through our responses to adversity. No one is immune to hardship. No one is immune to failure. But resilient individuals are those who have learned to face adversity head-on, to adapt and to keep moving forward. The foundation of resilience lies in our ability to accept that challenges are a part of life. The sooner we understand this, the easier it is to approach difficulties with a mindset that is focused on solutions rather than despair. We often resist challenges, wishing for an easier path, a smoother journey. But the truth is, growth comes not from the easy days, but from the hard ones. When we face challenges, we are forced to stretch ourselves beyond our comfort zone, to look at the world and our own potential through a different lens. The harder the challenge, the greater the opportunity to learn, to stretch, and to grow. Resilience is rooted in the belief that we have the ability to overcome obstacles. This belief does not come from external validation or constant reassurance from others. It comes from within. It comes from the knowledge that no matter how tough things get, we have the capacity to figure it out. When we stop seeing ourselves as victims of our circumstances and start seeing ourselves as the architects of our future, we unlock an immense amount of power. Every setback, every failure becomes a stepping stone, not a permanent state. In fact, when we change our perception of failure, we realize that it is not something to fear or avoid, but something that can propel us toward future success. Part of resilience is learning how to reframe our thinking. It's easy to fall into the trap of negative thoughts when things aren't going well. We might think, "Why me?" or "I can't do this." These thoughts are normal, but they are also limiting. Resilience is not about denying the pain or frustration that comes with difficulty, but rather about changing the way we respond to those feelings. When faced with a challenge, instead of saying, "This is impossible," we can choose to ask, "How can I make this work?" or "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective is what allows us to move from a place of feeling stuck to a place of growth. One of the keys to building resilience is embracing change. Life is constantly evolving, and the more we resist change, the more we struggle. In fact, change is often the very thing that pushes us to grow and to adapt. When we try to hold on to what is familiar, we limit ourselves. We prevent ourselves from experiencing the opportunities that come with change. When we embrace change, we open ourselves up to new possibilities, new ideas, and new ways of thinking. Resilience isn't about holding on to the past. It's about being flexible and adaptable enough to navigate the future, no matter what it holds. Resilience also requires emotional strength. Emotions are powerful, and while they can be wonderful sources of motivation and drive, they can also cloud our judgment and decision-making. When faced with adversity, it's natural to feel fear, anger, frustration, or sadness. These emotions are valid and they should not be suppressed. However, resilient people don't allow their emotions to control them. Instead, they acknowledge their emotions, feel them, and then choose to move forward. They don't let one bad day define them or their future. Emotional resilience comes from the ability to accept and manage emotions rather than being overwhelmed by them. Another important element of resilience is the ability to seek support when needed. It's often said that strength lies in numbers, and this is true in resilience as well. Resilient individuals are not afraid to lean on others when the going gets tough. In fact, seeking support is a sign of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to reach out to others and admit that we need help. Resilience doesn't mean that we have to face everything on our own. In fact, it's through our connections with others, friends, family, mentors, that we often find the strength to keep going, surrounding ourselves with people who lift us up, who remind us of our worth, and who encourage us to push through challenges, helps us build the resilience we need to succeed. Resilience is not just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about facing difficulties with a sense of purpose and determination. It's about not letting adversity rob you of your joy, your passion, or your dreams. Resilience allows us to keep moving forward, to keep striving for what we want, even when the odds are stacked against us. It allows us to approach life's challenges with an open heart and a clear mind, knowing that no matter what comes our way, we have the strength to handle it. And above all, resilience is about embracing the journey, not just the destination. Life is not about waiting for the perfect moment to arrive. It's about living fully in the moment, learning from each step, and finding meaning in the process. Resilience is not just about bouncing back from hardship. It's about recognizing that the hard times are what shape us into the people we are meant to become. Every challenge is an opportunity to build the strength, character, and wisdom that will carry us through life's unpredictable journey. The next time life throws you a curveball, remember that resilience is not about avoiding the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. It's about rising after every fall, growing through every setback, and pushing forward with the confidence that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. Resilience is the belief that no matter what happens, you are strong enough to handle it, and that you have the power to keep moving forward no matter how hard the journey may be. Dreaming big is often seen as a form of idealism, a lofty goal that only the lucky or the extraordinary can reach. But in reality, dreaming big is not just for the exceptional few. It's for anyone who dares to imagine a life that's bigger than their current circumstances. Anyone who refuses to be limited by the world's narrow definitions of success or potential. Dreaming big is not about being unrealistic or delusional. It's about pushing the boundaries of what you believe is possible for yourself. It's about rejecting the small thinking that keeps you confined to what you've already known and stepping into a space where anything can happen. The first step toward dreaming big is understanding that your dreams are valid. There will always be people who tell you that your dreams are too big, too ambitious, too unrealistic. They may try to make you believe that you should aim lower, that your aspirations are impractical or beyond reach. But the reality is, your dreams are a reflection of your potential, and they are worth pursuing no matter how large they may seem. The moment you begin to shrink your dreams to fit within the constraints of what others deem achievable is the moment you stop growing and limit the possibilities that lie ahead of you. Dreaming big means breaking free from the fear of failure. One of the most common reasons people shy away from setting ambitious goals is the fear of not succeeding. It's natural to fear failure, especially when we're aiming for something we've never achieved before. But what if we changed the narrative around failure? Instead of seeing failure as an endpoint, we could see it as a stepping stone, a necessary part of the journey towards success. Failure is not something to avoid, but something to learn from. Every time you fail, you get one step closer to understanding what works, what doesn't, and what it truly takes to achieve your goals. Dreaming big is about being willing to fail, knowing that each failure is a lesson that brings you closer to realizing your grand vision. It's also important to recognize that dreaming big is not about achieving instant success or expecting things to fall into place immediately. Big dreams often require time, patience, and perseverance. The path to achieving something extraordinary is rarely smooth. There will be setbacks, detours, and moments of doubt. But the people who achieve great things are not the ones who never face obstacles. They are the ones who keep going even when the path gets tough. They are the ones who stay committed to their vision despite the challenges that may arise along the way. Dreaming big is about maintaining your commitment to your goals, no matter how long it takes to get there. Another critical aspect of dreaming big is the willingness to take risks. It's easy to stay within the safety of your comfort zone, to pursue goals that feel familiar and secure. But true growth and transformation happen when we push ourselves beyond what we know. When you dream big, you will encounter moments that require you to take risks, whether that's financially, emotionally, or personally. These risks may seem daunting, and they might make you feel uncertain about your next move. But taking risks is a necessary part of the process. Without risk, there is no reward. Without stepping into the unknown, there is no opportunity for growth. Dreaming big is about being willing to take that leap of faith, knowing that even if the outcome is uncertain, the experience will be invaluable. When you dream big, you must also be prepared to face self-doubt. At some point, everyone who has ever set a big goal has questioned their ability to achieve it. The voice inside your head may tell you that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you don't have what it takes. But the key is not to listen to that voice. Instead, you must learn how to silence it and replace it with a louder, more powerful message. I am capable, and I will make this happen. Self-doubt is a natural part of the journey, but it doesn't define who you are or what you are capable of achieving. Dreaming big is about choosing to believe in your abilities, even when the world or your inner critic tells you otherwise. Dreaming big also means setting bold, specific goals that align with your vision. It's not enough to simply have a vague idea of what you want. You need to create a roadmap that will guide you toward your dreams. This means setting clear, actionable steps that will move you forward. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of dreaming big, but without a plan, dreams can remain just that, dreams. By setting specific goals, you create a sense of direction and purpose. Each goal, no matter how small, becomes a victory that brings you one step closer to the larger vision you hold in your heart. These goals give you focus, helping you avoid distractions and stay committed to your bigger vision. It's also important to remember that dreaming big does not mean you have to do it alone. Surround yourself with people who believe in your vision, who will encourage you when times get tough, and who will hold you accountable when your motivation wanes. The journey toward big dreams is not a solitary one, and it's vital to have a support system in place to help you stay focused and inspired. Whether it's mentors, friends, or family, the people you surround yourself with will play a significant role in your ability to turn your dreams into reality. They can offer insights, provide emotional support, and push you to keep going when you feel like giving up. Dreaming big is about living with intention. It's about not settling for the ordinary, but instead choosing to reach for the extraordinary. It's about refusing to let the limitations of the world around you dictate the possibilities for your life.